Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Stone Watcher, but all my friends call me Vulture.
There you go. And today we are looking at, we're going to be going over a weird hope, not grimdark, post-apocalyptic game, ECO MOFOS, from friends of the show, David Blandy and Daniel Locke. We actually talked about this a while ago when it was funding. We had both of those gents on. We played it briefly because we won the game very quickly. Can't often win the game, but in a one shot, I think we ran across a tile that dropped us into the one way to get off of what we were doing.
I will say that we are consummate winners, though. You know.
Yeah, we live for the W here on the Weekly Scroll Podcast. But yeah, this is a fun, interesting game we're looking at. There's a whole, I just tweeted this and forgot what I said about it, but the whole string is this is a mid-future weird hope ecopunk ruin delving survival game. It was on Kickstarter a little bit ago. It funded for almost 25,000. That's not doll hairs. That is pounds, which I have no idea what that is in American. With 633 backers. As we said before, we have the fellers on from the copy paste. I believe it's a copy paste collective. Is what by
the way, that's almost $33,000. Almost.
That's sick.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope. This is a fun one. This is a good one.
And both of us only have one copy of the book, right?
Yeah. So I think I have 4. So for those that don't know some of those creators' works, David Blandy actually prior to ECO MOFOS had put out Lost Eons, a game that we've been meaning to go over for a long time. And I have, for those in podcast land, you can't see this, but for those on YouTube, I'm holding up 2 box sets of it because there was a UK version and American version, and of course I had to have both. I might have only got one, but the UK version was the black one, and the American version was like the tan one. So of course I had to get the black one.
Of course. Duh.
And I know, right? If you read Lost Eons, you will understand kind of like where ECO MOFOS came out of, the whole like weird hope post-apocalyptic, because this is very much like a Lost Eons is very much like a solar punk game. But as part of the Kickstarter, which Hunter alluded to, there is the original version of the game, this beautiful hardback book, roughly 166 pages, with a punk with a mohawk on it on the cover of this. And then there is a version with a punk girl on it, with blue hair and a grimace and tattoos all over their face, like Earth First and Weird Hope and whatnot. That's version number 2. The first one has a purple blue spine. The second one has a pink spine and back. The third version, yes, because there's 3 different art versions, it's my favorite version. It's a very trippy, like there's these figures that are like flipping on it, and there's this like roach creature in the back that reminds me of Terraformars, which is like a fucked up manga anime that I really love. So this is my favorite version. It's got this kind of like burnt orange cover. And that's 3 versions, so let's grab the 4th version. There is a black and white spiral bound version. Mm-hmm. So the covers are still color. It's the original pink mohawk punk, but inside is black and white, and again it is spiral bound, which this is such a perfect table version.
Absolutely, because hey, you know what? A spiral bound book lays flat in the table. So
oh god, I wish every book, every hardback I had also had a spiral bound version of it. Fantastic.
You have room
cover.
At home for that? You have room in your shelves for every one of your games?
No, I have so many books on the floor before that not at all. And then that's not all that came with the Kickstarter. It also, there's the ECO MOFOS patch. It says ECO MOFOS on it, which is great. I got 2 different bookmarks, and I love these. It's got the how to play, like, super basic rules on that. We have a couple of games that came with that, but I love that when there's a bookmark of the base rules. There are 2 encounters from David and Daniel, Sinistine and Rakas, with our pamphlets. And then on top of that, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adventures that came with it as well from guest writers. They're all roughly like 8 to 10-ish pages long. We have To Put Away a Sword from Zedek Sue. We have Into the Antlion's Den from Samantha Lee. We have Abyss Protocol from Logan Dean, friend of the show, Logan Dean. We have A Hole in the Ground from David Blandy. And then we have The Silo from Eco over at the Lost Bay. And wait a minute, we're still not fucking done, because there is a whole another little mini zine of solo rules, ECO MOFOS Solo, from David Blandy and Chowcalypse, Brandon Yu, fantastic artist and solo game aficionado. So a whole solo pamphlet for that. And then on top of that, as part of the Kickstarter, I also snagged Helms of the Multiverse from Daniel Locke, which is the whole book of Helms of the Multiverse. And then Lone Eons, which is the solo zine of Lost Eons. So quite a stacked Kickstarter.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I did not get the big Kickstarter package, and I do regret it. I do want the patch. I like the art cover that is your favorite a lot. I mean, they're all good. Daniel Locke did not hold back on the art in this thing. It definitely it definitely goes off real hard.
Yeah, it fucks like super hard.
It's really very good. And going through this, we'll see. There's a bunch of art. There's a bunch of style choices that are good.
Yeah, and I love that they didn't
version, man.
Bro, the spiral bound one is it's fantastic. It's so great. And I will say, I do love that not only did they do a new cover for each version of the hardback, but like the spine and back of the book are a different color for each one too. Instead of just the art, they like redid the whole cover front and back, and that was such a good choice. They made a lot of fantastic choices with the Kickstarter all the way through. And I don't remember how much it cost, but I don't remember feeling bad about it. So it must not have been that much for the tier that I got. And I'm not going to go look, because I don't want to be reminded of how much money I spent. But yeah, so that's all the physical stuff. And I have to show off for a second for homies in chat. Let me put this stack of books off to the side, and we'll get into this game. So let me jump to the cover, and then we'll do our normal. So this version, actually, let me do a let me get the whole boom. That's a whole cover there for those in the YouTubes. Those in podcast land, imagine, if you will, a punk, but seen from the back, so you can see their battle jacket, right? The head turned to the left in profile so that their pink mohawk is up to the sky. It says Spaceship Earth tattooed on the side of their head with a lightning bolt. And then there are a number of patches on the back. Weird Hope, one that says Home with a picture of Earth on it. Some skulls, some people like dancing around in a circle. What does that say? The Lonely Mountain on it. Some pins like happy faces and things like that. So great cover.
I will say,
yes.
As much as I like the alternative art covers, this was the correct choice for the actual cover.
I will say yes. As the primary cover, this is a great shot. This is a great choice. Yep. Yeah. I think it says the game the most, I think.
Yeah. I just also just like it. The image, I think, is very like, it's bright. It's like attractive to look at. I very much enjoy this piece. I know at one point I think that you could get a print through the Kickstarter of this cover. And that's one thing I was like, damn, I should have gotten that, because this would be a great poster to have framed on my poster wall.
Well, I mean, you can just get a high def image from David and just like go to fucking Staples and print a poster.
I could, you're right.
Yeah. I will say that's probably why I like the Rochi one the most. For those that, I don't know, go to our Instagram and stuff like that, we do have an Instagram, and that's where we post like the scores and everything. Someone actually, quick tangent, I know we don't do that very often on the show, but someone actually commented on one of our show, like, do you have like a like an Excel sheet that's got the scores for all of the games? And I was like, that'd probably be a good idea. I'm never going to do it, but that'd be a good idea.
I thought of that before, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not fucking doing it. At this point, we have like, what, 170, almost 175 episodes deep. Not doing it. But all of the scores of every game we've ever done are on our Instagram. And I love finding like a random image that is not the cover art, but is very like an essence of the game image to put as the background for those. And if that cover art was in the book, the one that I like with the Roach Man on it, and not a cover, that's exactly the kind of image that I would put on those back the Instagram page. And those are the ones that kind of speak to me, those like weird random ones. Anyway, I think the only thing is I wish that those other two covers were also in like the PDF files, because I would love to just have those as like art pieces in there as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think I have them because they sent us like an asset folders for when we had them on for the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. But regardless, anyway, so this is the cover, and it slaps, and Daniel did amazing art. So it is written and laid out by David, and then the art is all done by Daniel Locke. Real quick, as we get into this, initial thoughts, one-liners. What you got?
This is a really good hunter game.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like 3 of my favorite games, all also the vibes are good vibes.
Yes. Mechanically, so mechanically this game is great. I really enjoyed it a lot. The vibes though, I enjoy. I think it's great, but obviously it's more of a you game than it is a me game. Like,
that's what I mean. This is altogether a good hunter game, you know?
Yeah, because my post-apocalypse is very much more grim. And literally, one of the things says "Weird Hope, not Grimdark," and I'm like, I would reverse those for me personally. But I still think it slaps like crazy, and I would play the hell out of this game. But yeah, mechanically, this is like a mix of some of our favorite games, which is really fantastic. It feels like, I don't know. We'll get into it more. But going right through the beginning. First of all, love the maps, like right off the bat,
dude. Immediately, these are this is a great stylistic choice for how to depict your like little map segments. I can't tell you how much I enjoy how these look.
What's interesting is like in the PDF, I'm like, why are those so early? And then I realized like in the book, it's like, oh, they're the end pages. It's such a great choice for end pages of a book, because these do come up later in the book. So for those in podcast line that can't see this, basically there are these kind of like isometric squares that are basically like a point of a point crawl, or like a square that would be in like a hex crawl. And you would roll on those, and as we go to the next pages here, so these say like map A1, bunker A, map like B6 or whatever. You scroll down and there's like a list of A 1 2 3 4 5 6 and B 1 2 3 4 5 6, and there's a little like there's six circles, right? It's two columns of 3, and there's lines connecting them, either solid lines or diagonal lines, like all in different varying forms, the door on one side and a door on the other leading in and out. And then you realize when you scroll up that each of those isometric sections is one of these 6 sections. So you basically make like a 6-point map by just putting these together. And then in the previous ones where there actually are the roll tables, each one like is drawn up artistically, like insanely well. Like one of the very first ones, the top right one, a dark forest, an bear bellows, and it literally has this like fucked up forest and this giant pink bear just like standing up in the middle of it. or the one to the left of it, the skull of a huge beast poking from the mud, and it's exactly what it is. The art's fantastic, but yeah, like the style where it has like the path, secret path, crossroads, all of that. The way that this whole page goes down to that tiny little drawing of like those 3 circles, so fucking good.
I agree.
Yeah,
I strongly agree. I was nodding vigorously.
Vigorously. So getting right into it, credits, we got like I said, Daniel Locke's art, writing, layout, and design is David Blandy, editing from ECO, publish it. It's a copy paste co-op. What did I say before? I don't even remember.
Copy paste press? I don't know, but it's copy paste co-op.
Co-op. I started with the C. Whatever I said before, what I meant was copy paste co-op. Crowdfunded on Kickstarter with 633 Mofo and backers, and supported by the Arts Council of England. I like the top here. It says Into the Odd is where it starts. Chris McDowell is the original creator of Into the Odd. Is that hyperlinked? Yes, it is. You sons of bitches. You know, and you knew. If they came to the table with an unhyperlinked thing, we would chew them apart, especially after they came on the show. It says the principles, spells, and bestiary are based on Cairn by Yohei Gall. Layout is based on Clayton Nodestein's Classic Explorer template. And everything is CC BYSA. And then you can use it for whatever you want, except no bigotry, no AI, and give credit. You know what? That's like just that's 3 things to live your life by: is no bigotry, no AI, and give credit. You know. And then a lot of inspirations: Mythic Bastionland, Cairn, solo rules from Chow, Thousand Empty Lights, Bastards. Lorne, Song of the Bachelor from Zedek, Mouse Ritter, Durf, Meteor from David Lombardi, which is one I talked to you about. Is one I want to go for a while. Oh yeah, we just
talked about this. Yeah.
24XX from Jason Tochi is another one that we need to go over. I don't know notes from Nakade. I definitely have to check at that. I've looked to see Monolith before. Bice's Dungeons blogs from Marsha B, Vaults of Varn, obviously, and then the Ire from McGearing. So
a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff listed there.
Amazing stuff. So contents-wise, it says use the color tabs on each page to navigate back here, which is fantastic. So the headers of each of the sections in the book, we have the basics, character creation, the rules, loot and stuff, essence, adventuring, and factions and jobs and solo. They're all given a color, and if you actually look at the side of the book, it turned out really well. There's a tab on every page, and you can actually see where those color tabs are on the spine of the book. So if you know that it's a blue section, you can easily at least flip to the blue section by just flipping to where it shows blue on the side of the book, which is fantastic. Troika does a thing like that, but they actually make the entire page like a lightish blue or a lightish pink. So I really love that as like a subtle thing where you can just put a color on the side of the page and have like a really great reference. That's like basically the best way to like hyperlink a book, I would think. Is to just like color code the side of the pages.
What's also nice is that the book has a silk ribbon for bookmarks, and it came with 2 bookmarks as well. So you can easily, even if you're not doing the digital version, navigating the physical is actually tremendously easier because you can flip back and forth between 3 spots endlessly.
Endlessly, and then so let's continue to look here. So are there bookmarks in the PDF? Surprisingly no,
there are not bookmarks, but I will say that like because of the colored tabs that are on every page, it's just so easy. I mean, because I was going back and forth reading this, it's so easy to just fly back and forth. I don't think it really affects me very much.
No, it doesn't. I just wanted to see something. Bro. Okay, so the tabs in, I didn't even notice this because I read the physical of this. Tabs,
I went back and forth.
The tabs in the PDF are hyperlinked. The tabs are hyperlinked.
Yeah, they send you back to because I first saw there was no bookmarks and I was like, well, that kind of sucks. And then I read the color tabs on each page to navigate back. And then I clicked, I was like, oh, and it took me back. I was like, oh, that's very good. This is very good. Hey, all of you hyperlinking stuff. Here's another great example of how to do it right. Hyperlinking to the chapter is super helpful, and I'm very pro that. But having anything on the page that you can click to take you back to the contents table wildly helpful. Because as all of us know, you don't always read these things linearly, especially if you're using them as a tool or you're making stuff. So yeah, big ups to them on that.
Yeah, big ups. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. Well, because I just scrolled over the red in the, so you guys, so here, now you can see my hand. And I realized, oh shit, the red's hyperlinked. Does that mean that like all of these are hyperlinked? And it is. If you scroll to any page and you click the tab, it'll take you back to that color tab on the type of contents page. Fantastic. But I also do love it says on the thing, use the color tabs on each side to navigate. Like, yeah, there are times where things will be well hyperlinked, and I love that. But if there's actually a page that says click here for this, click here for that, it, you know, like that's really cool too. So love that. Obviously, we have to stop and pause and talk about how great the hyperlinks are and everything, because that's basically what we're known for the people that actually care. So we gotta give props. So otherwise, it's also an extremely well hyperlinked thing. Every single thing in the table of contents is hyperlinked, and then we start with a 2-page comic.
Bro, what the fuck? This is so cool.
It's so good.
This is like, oh, we're starting with like a short comic as an example of play. I was like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's so good. So it's a kind of like in like breaking the fourth wall kind of like example of play, like Connor said. So it shows these 3 punks looking down into a hole, like going into somewhere. It says, we're going in, we've got our rope. It's a hella drop, because you know they're punks, they gotta say hella, right?
Right. They're West Coast punks, specifically.
Yeah, right. Northern California punks. It says, I rolled a 12, I got an 8, but it's like coming from the punk, so like I love the in and out of character thing. It's great. There's a thing that says the guide and mentor, and it's an arrow going off the page, and it says, that sounds a bit tricky, it's a long drop, you need to roll a dexterity save under or equal to your dexterity to make sure you don't hurt yourself. And then the 12 and an 8, you know, and it continues. Like the punks in the punk world are talking as if they're the players outside of the world, which is really dope. And then they fail some stuff, an encounter happens, and then there's a great full page spread of vermin, giant ants and rats and stuff like that, like coming down a tunnel at them. And it's a really great page. That's such a good, like, I love that. It's so good.
I like the numbered bugs. I don't know if you just mentioned that, but the bugs, because just at my table, if you have, like, if there are 8 enemies, a lot of times they do have I'll put little numbers on the, if I'm using like a digital interface, I'll put little numbers on the page or on the screen for them to see. So it's very funny. They're like, oh yeah, this is the exact same thing. There's 8 bugs or whatever, and they're numbered. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. And it's a great, I don't know, it's just a great piece in general. Like I love the red that's on it and everything. So yeah, it's dope. So getting into the basics, which again, we've talked about this over and over again. I think I won you over to my side. Before character creation, even if you're not going to do all of the rules, at least give the basics of like the core dice mechanic, things like that. Yeah. And they do that here, and it's great. They do use the classic explorer template, which is basically, it's great that it exists, and I love that people are using it. It's a great thing, but it's also just like a very basic like grid layout with just like a column on the side. But they do a really good job of it in this layout. We've seen it used to pour effect, I think, in some other games, where there's like basically with a lot of pages you end up with just like a giant empty column on the side of a page. But I don't think there's a single page in the book where they don't utilize it or don't have it formatted in this way, which is the correct way, in my opinion, to use that. And they do a really good job, and they keep it in the grid. So even like the basics, even though I don't know why I pointed to my screen instead of just using this, even the basics, you can see it keeps in line to the grid column off to the side. But yeah, anyway, so what the funk is ECO MOFOS? It is a mid-future ecopunk ruin delving survival game. Players play PCs or punks travel the world seeking a safe homestead called a glade, start a new community. There's a bit of like the only real lore in the game outside of tables, which is all you need. It's almost as if it's an implied setting. There is no lore. Around 200 years ago, everything went to crud. The wealthy who created this mess freaked off to Mars while the lucky ones hid in vast underground bunkers. We were left to fend for ourselves on the surface, eking out an existence in the broken ruins they left behind, searching for remnants of a past world to help us survive, searching for a place to call home. We play a group of misfits who have found each other in the waste and ruins of the fallen world. The past is just a hazy legend, a story scattered over thousands of USB sticks and servers. The future is there to be written, and that's it. That's pretty much all you get outside of tables and stuff like that. It's really great. I like it. Off to the side it says Weird Hope, which is what they call this a bunch. I'm glad they don't call this like weird punk or something like that. I think people don't understand that like the thing in front of the word punk is the thing you're fighting against. But people are like, this is like joy punk. And it's like, so we're killing joy. Let's fucking do it. I'm rebelling against joy. I'm with you. And it's like, no, we're happy. And I'm like, then that's not what that means. So Weird Hope is a great way to say it. It says lean into the weird hope. Things can be scary and odd and damn scary and odd and damn bad things happen, but things are getting better. So it's weird, but there is hope, you know, as opposed to grimdark where it's like it sucks and it just gets suckier, you know. And then imagine a different future. So how to play basics. So basically the core of this game is Into the Odd. Like it's very much Into the Odd / Cairn. It's a roll under system. Yep, you roll at or under. The closer to your ability score, the better roll over it and things go bad real fast. And that's pretty much it. Yep, it says this is pretty much it. For a trivial task, you just succeed. And we need to remind people of that over and over and over again, that most games are not 5e. You don't have to roll to take a goddamn breath. If you can just do it, you just fucking do it. So that's it. If it's risky, again, it's a roll under d20 score. You have hurt protection, which I'll never not be annoyed by.
It doesn't bother me at all, honestly.
I know it doesn't bother you. It bothers me to my core. Hurt protection. For those that don't know Into the Odd or Cairn and stuff like that, the way that this game works, I mean, I'll just read it so you understand. There's hit protection. It cushions damage in combat. Once lost, damage rolls over to deplete your strength. If you lose all your strength, you die. Surprise damage hits your armor and then goes directly to strength. If any strength is lost in combat, you have to save against your new strength or go down. And that's every time. Once your hit protection is gone, if your strength is 18 and you take 3 damage, you're at 15, you have to roll and beat a 15. And if you keep getting strength damage, anytime that you roll over your new strength every time, you are down. And that's it. To attack, all you do is roll damage. There is no attack roll on Into the Odd, Cairn, any of the Children of the Odd or whatever. I can't remember what the family tree of Into the Odd is called.
No, the Mark of the Odds there.
Mark of the Odd. Mark of the Odd. That's what I meant. Yeah. The Children of the Odd. The Spawn of the Odd.
And to be and to be like a little technical, the damage roll is also technically it's a hit roll because things have armor. And so if you roll below their armor, you do no damage to them.
That's not.
It's kind of the same.
I'm gonna disagree. Because all you're doing is rolling. So to hit roll is to see if you
are
hit.
Hitting every single time. Yeah.
It's just whether you surpass their armor or not with the damage actually works. Because if you actually have it to hit roll, then you also roll damage. That's still two rolls. But yes, we've talked about this before. I think Into the Odd. I mean, I think David Blandy loves Into the Odd. But we've talked about this before. I really enjoy Into the Odd. It's not my favorite, but I really, really enjoy Into the Odd. And we talked about this before in that, like, there's this kind of like innate. So a game is what the rules say and what they don't say, but are, right? Like, what is that thing? Like a system is what it does, right? Yeah. So when we were originally going over Into the Odd, the newer version that Johan did, the art for and everything, the layout and everything, we said that Into the Odd is not a combat game, and the way that the rules work really makes it where you don't play combat. It's an exploration game that has combat, because if you fight stuff, you die super fucking fast.
Yeah, you really
like real
do.
fast. Like if you don't have to roll to hit and you just always do damage unless you're wearing armor, like you die fast. So you learn very quickly to avoid combat, which is the point in Into the Odd, is that I've always seen it as it is an exploration game that you can fight stuff in. versus the vast majority of TTRPGs, which are combat games at the end of the day. And I think this is a really great choice specifically for this game, because I don't feel like any aspect of this game says combat to me. Even all the times where it says like combat's bad for you, it's like, that's fine. Designers will always say that, right? But like weird hope, future punk stuff to me feels more like you're running around trying to get that juice. You're not really going out trying to murder shit.
To get juice in this game.
Yeah. Anyway, great 2-page spread here
I love this piece.
Yeah, someone sitting in a car. I don't think they have the extra piece here. Let me see if I can actually do a 2-page. Nope. They don't have that extra page in, so I can't do spreads. Fit with. But yeah, great piece of like a broken down building, like kind of in the mountains, and these two punks sitting in this beat down car, just kind of looking out, I assume experiencing the world. And yeah, I guess there might be, so this game is very bullet pointed. I know that there was a discourse at some point about bullet points. It was as dumb as all the discourses are. Bullet points are fine. Bullet points are also not fine. It's whatever works, and I think bullet points work for this.
Yeah, I think this works well here.
Yeah, like there's no pros really. These are all just like points, and that's kind of the point of a bullet point. So that's great. There is a little bit more about the world here. There is what we know. It's the before, the waste, and our people. Your story, the world is created at your table, and that's the only reality that matters. But the before, it basically talks about like in the before times, the before 4 times. They're barely believed by many. Punks have like seen glimmers of the old life, as in like the things still exist out there. And a lot of people just don't know what they are anymore. It's far enough out that they have forgotten, but it's still there. There's legends about it. The wastes are just how every waste is in every piece of prose you've ever read ever. Like, it sucks, it's wasty. There's like sandstorms and floods and stuff like that. There's ruins. One thing that's important though is that only the punks dare to seek a world beyond. So everyone kind of just like settles down because the world sucks, but the punks, they have that gumption, you know?
Yeah, they're trying to get out and make a better world.
Yeah, trying to get that glade. The ruins haunt the land, obviously. Hidden silos and things, whatnot. Our people. These are the types of people in the world. There are the wasters, the corpos, the bandits, and the punks. So this is very much like a rock, scissors, paper kind of situation. The wasters just want to survive. They obey the corpos and fear the bandits. The corpos want to control and keep a fragile hold on the wasters. The bandits know the world is broken, so life means nothing anymore. And then you have the punks.
The punks.
Yeah. So the punks are outsiders who inspire strong emotions. Some hate them for their nonconformity. Some find their strangeness alluring. They are the weirdos. There's also the hermits. They are the elders who have adapted, able to see the glimmers of the past and future. And they share their visions of the world with the punks, who they see as kindred spirits, because they're weirdos too. There are others out there that are malevolent, the bad guys, you know, the horrors, the twisted things. And then there's essence and spells. So when the world broke, Gaia woke, releasing essence into the world. That's capital E, essence. Freaks touched by essence can sense its presence and weave it into spells. So you got punks and freaks and geeks, you know. And then there is the glade. You've seen it in your dreams in a vision given during your first adaptation, which we'll get to. It is a place. It's a good spot. It's where the arrow points on the map in Waterworld, you know. The glade is your secret obsession. It is the goal. It is the thing that you're going for. It is the thing in every post-apocalyptic. It's that one spot where things are okay, you know. And that's it. GM principles. So on every page there are things in the side column, and what I love is even when there's not something in the side column that needs to be addressed. So for example, it says weirdos gas over weird. So what they do, like a big bolded, just kind of like important, like note tip, like the one above it says essence is terrifying, delicious, and strange. Like there's a light, very vibey stuff mixed in there, like reminders. I mean, that's what the side column is for. It's for don't forget this. It's for vibey prose. It's for like reminders, like that, and they do a really good job, I think, using the Classic Explorer template to its full potential, I think, here.
I very much agree.
But the one on the side here says TTRPG. It says ECO MOFOS is a tabletop role-playing game played through discussion to create an emergent story using papers, pencils, and dice. That is one of the best what is a TTRPG pages I've ever seen, because A, it's not a whole page, and B, it's one fucking line, and that's it. I love it. There are at the bottom one says OSR/NSR ? It says this game comes from a culture of tabletop roleplay where exploration and interaction with the game environment is the focus, not the rules themselves. Again, I love that, because is it NSR? Is it OSR? Guess what? Who gives a shit?
Who cares?
Who gives a fuck? Anyone that's like, I don't know, is this really OSR? Just play the fucking game, bro. Like, who gives a shit? Nothing. The OSR is dead, and it is nothing more than a marketing term at this point. So, like, is it OSR? No, because there's no such thing. There's a couple pages of GM principles. Information, don't hide it, give it to the players. These are very much the OSR, NSR, like GM principles. Difficulty, guess what? Things suck. It's difficult. Don't make it too bad, and reward interesting things, right? Preparation, this game is very much a prep as much as you want kind of game. You could do no prep at all and just roll for everything, or you could prep things based on tables throughout the book. That's great. Love that. There's generators for basically everything in a very Vault of Iron kind of way. Narrative focus, like play is what matters. Just play the game. Stop staring at your character sheet, and do that. Danger, things are dangerous. You can die. GM and player punks. Be your punk. Play the game. Loot and stuff. There is loot and there is stuff. Choice. You should always give the players the correct amount of information to make choices, and you should always try to make those choices difficult to create more story and narrative that is filtered through the player's lens. And then randomness and luck. You can roll a roll and get that. That exists. That's the concepts of the principles. I think we hit everything there. Cool piece of art here of a very adapted punk. We'll get to adaptations again with like eye stalks and a dope orange jacket. Their fit is kind of fire, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, actually, they got that shit on.
Yeah, they got like a puffy hooded jacket with like it's orange, and it's got these green and black striped pants. And they're going down into what looks like the ruins of some type of facility. There's like lights and everything, and then it's dark all around them, and there's things like eyes and hands
little
like reaching out of the dark. Oh, so good. A whole page for safety tools, content warning. Things are rough. Cannibalism is where the pops out. Dead bodies. Heinous billionaires. So take the time. They have a section here on lines and veils. Use them. We're not going to go over them because they're in every game.
Every game they should be. And
and use them. At least be aware of them. And that's it. Batch of principles for punks. Fiction first. Be like water. Death. Growth. Agency, teamwork, exploration, talking. They're great. Read them. Just those one words for the most part. Anyone that plays in this space knows what we're talking about. They're well done. I really like that they're very bullet pointed. I really like that they're concise in a way that I would use this to flip back to if I was referencing things.
It's just an easy chunk for anyone going through this book to take in quickly and understand it. I didn't even realize there was a discourse on bullet points.
It was small and dumb.
Oh, okay. I like bullet points.
They're great. They're fucking great. There's no problem with bullet points. I think the discourse was more in the context of like adventures and the information that you give in adventures. So it's depending, but like we're not all Lou Gearing. We can't all write the aisle. You know what I mean? Like, you know. So you know, you get what you get. Also, there's this the whole okay. Give me 30 seconds in this topic.
Okay.
The biggest discourse maker in TTRPGs is literally semantics and personal opinion, and people going, well, that's not the way that I look at it, so you're wrong. Like, it's the stupidest fucking thing ever. Like, you're allowed to just be like, oh, I see it differently, so I play differently. That's the thing that you're allowed to do.
No, sorry. There's one way to do everything. And if you don't do it that way, you're wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. And you're going to find someone that will vocally tell you you're wrong. But that's everything. Realistically, I think about it, I'm like, why is this so dumb? And I'm like, oh, remember when like philosophy had all their little like disciples and they literally got in like fist fights about it and shit like that? It's like, how dare you view your existential crisis differently than I view mine? You know, fuck off. So there's a section, principles for punks, which I don't.
We're still in that same section. It's a 3-page section.
Yes. Okay. I was like, we're still talking about the players, right? More caution, planning, shared objectives, and ambition. And then you have the cover art, which is great. So pick your punk. Do you want to do this? Or you want me to keep yapping?
Yeah, I'll do this. Yeah. So, who are you? You get basically, you're making your weirdo from your band of weirdos. And it's very much the I don't know, for me, this is very Bastards Into the Odd because I play a lot of Bastards still.
It's not for you. This is Bastards. Like, this is Bastards character creation.
Yes, this is Bastards character creation, which is a great choice because it's a great character creation. Although it's expanded in a way that I'm like, oh, this is great, and I'm stealing this from my own home game. So you're going to roll a D6 for your hurt protection. You are going to roll D6 for your adaptation, which we'll get to. That's more like your kind of character class-ish thing. It provides you with abilities and like some starting items. Then you're going to roll 2d6 plus 3 for each of your ability scores. There is strength, dex, and will. You're going to roll a d6 for your age. You can only be 6 years old, tops. But no, if you roll a 1, you're almost 20. 2, you're 20-something.
3, you 30-something. 4, you're 30-something. Yeah.
Yeah, anything after that is the number of decades you've been on Earth. You roll d6 for a burden, which is just a tiredness or wear that you've picked up along the way. And then you're going to start with d6 shots of juice and
with a J, baby.
Yeah, with a J, big J, and a supply, a fantastic rule. And then you give your punk a name.
Yeah. I do we say this over and over and over again in games. And again, I think that David did a fantastic job with the layout in this, in that it says roll d6 for a burden and go to page 44. But what is in the bonus column to the left?
Burdens, actually. You can just roll it right burdens here. And you can just look at what the rule is for that one burden, how to get rid of it when you get down to that page.
Exactly. I love that. We say this over and over again. Like, if you mention something, give that now and explain it later. And they do that's like one of my favorite parts in this whole book, and this is random as fuck, is the fact that there's a burden table right there. And that's for that exact thing. It's like, wait a minute, what's a burden? And it goes, oh, there's a D6 list of burdens. And then I can click on the page 44 thing to hyperlink me to page 44 to read what the burden rules are. Like, claps. I'm saying claps because one mic chops out my claps, but good job. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So, adaptation table, this is our like character kind of classes. Basically, you get like an overarching, you see what HP you rolled, right? So let's say we rolled a 1 HP, and then you look at your adaptation and you rolled a 6. Well, then you're an oracle. And in the section here, we'll go down and they'll give you your character classes, which gives you a little bit of lore, an ability, a key item that you've absorbed into yourself, and your starting items that you have with you.
Well, why don't you let's go through one. Do you want to roll up 2d6 or do you want to pick one that you
want to do this? This is the best. Yeah. This is exactly how I like stuff. So
yeah. And again, the Bastards character creation style here is so good, and as you said, they expanded it in a really fun and interesting way.
Yeah,
but the roll for your HP and then roll for the thing that's under that HP. So this game is very much an amalgamation of other games, and they're all good.
Yes. This is an amalgamation of all things that I specifically love. I really enjoyed this game. I rolled a 5-6, so it's gonna be an engineer.
5-6.
5-6. I went down too far. It's on page 39.
I will say I really love the way that they do the layout in this too. In that, like if you go to shape changer, for example, you get 1, 2, 3, 4 on shape changer, and then when you flip the page, you get a full page piece of art for shape changer, and then you get the last 2, 5, 6. So it's 2 full spreads for each one of these, and one of which is one of those 4 pages is always a full page piece of art, which is, first of all, again, Daniel Locke fucking killed it with the art.
Yeah, amazing.
But it's a great way to do that.
Fantastic. I'm glad you said something, because as I was just scrolling through this to get to engineer, I was like, oh, I forgot how well laid out and how much art there is in this section. So yeah, I'm glad you pointed out, because it's very much a joy to go through, and all the key items are drawn as well. So engineer. So engineer, your key item, a thing that you've already absorbed into yourself, is a neurochip implant. Your starting background. You revel in systems. You see the layers of history everywhere, labyrinths of secret routes, occluded by time and neglect. You love to share hidden wonders in cunning ways. Your ability, you can easily disable locks and devices, always has the right tools, knows the layout and hidden ways of built structures. Very useful person to have when you're out going through the ruins of the old world. Your starting items, you have a pocket MIG welder, which is a D8 damage and close range. You have a nail gun, which is D6 damage and near range. Baseball cap, a Kevlar jacket, which is 1 armor, a set of walkie-talkies, which is a fantastic thing to have, and a mechanics kit.
Yeah, they're great. And that's one of 36 backgrounds you get, 66s. Yeah. Really, really great. And as you said, like all of the key items, or at least there are images for each one.
The weld or the nail guns drawn here.
I was gonna say, because the one above it is a GPS implant, but it's a compass. So there's at least a piece of art next to every single one of these, which again, like Daniel went off, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Any of the other classes you really love that you want to go over?
You know what? There's actually some ones that I thought were really, like, they're all interesting. They're all fantastic.
I got one too, so you pick yours and I'll pick mine.
What? Well, no, you pick yours.
Oh, mine's the last one. So
the T-Monk.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that the rogue ones were very interesting. Obviously. I picked the most violent ones in the game that's not about violence.
What,
but
assassin?
Assassin, I was like, that's really neat. So let me run through assassin real
quick. Here I go killing again.
Yeah. And then I wanted to show the art page for assassin is great. With like the overalls and stuff, and they have like little patches that says "oops" like on their pants. I love that. But the assassin, so the first kill was the hardest. Now it's just a job that you're trying to escape. The past doesn't want to let you go. Take time to create poisons or potions from plants and common materials. Target saves or is paralyzed, sickly, unconscious, or dead. Potion to cure minor ailments. So you're like a killer and a healer, which I really like.
Yeah.
And then your starting items: sniper rifle with scope, bastard sword, padded jacket, potion kit, grappling hook, and stems. The bastard sword, I'm like, that's a very quiet blade to have with you, I guess. And then dark root and phoenix tea. I really like a lot of the items too have things written on them. That's really cool, and I like that a lot. So the sword on this says twat. I'm a total bastard. I'm a total bastard, a wanker. is what's written on the sword. And then like the compass had something written on it. So like the book above this says no one's business but mine, keep out. Like a lot of the items have like a little like quirky, fun, vibey, like engravings, quote unquote, or art on them, which is cool. And then the T-Monk for you.
Yeah, the T-Monk, whose key item that they took in to become a T-Monk was ayahuasca tea, which shout out. Then the starting background. Come, sit, take a warm brew to cleanse the soul. Your calm presence masks a quick rebuke. Your ability can attack an additional 2 unarmed strikes in a round without penalty. Contend flesh once a day, which heals 1 strength, wisdom, and dex, twice as much if used on someone else. And with time can brew special tea that heals D6 strength, wisdom, or dex. Starting items, you have a D6 staff, ragged clothing, hidden pockets, hemp cloak, which is 1 armor, 3 balms, a wooden flute, and a tea set.
Gotta love those bombs.
Balms.
You know, give me some of that bomb.
Yeah, I just really like this character. I like the idea of this like post-apocalypse. I love the assassin with the bastard sword because the assassin has a sniper rifle as well, and people have like guns or like flamethrowers. And this is a T-Monk, and he has a staff, but he can hit so many fucking times that it's just like, you know.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. Burdens. Hey, here's the thing I like. So burdens are emotional debts that must be paid in specific ways. Basically, they're like conditions that you can acquire. They take up inventory slots, and if you get 3 of them, I'm not reading, so I'm mostly going off memory. If you get 3 of them, you are deprived. You get the deprived condition. And there is you're about to say something?
No, I was agreeing.
Okay. There is a burdens table. Right above that, it says, lean into your burdens as you play, letting them shape your behavior. Think of creative ways to take advantage of situations to unburden yourself. So there are 6 burdens. They're very easy to write. And if you wanted to write more of your own, it would take very little time. The first one is wary. There's arrogant, shamed, vain, sad, and enraged. And right next to them, it tells you how to get rid of them. So the first one, wary. You spend a full day at peace or consume juice and get wasted. Now, really, they'll cure your wariness, you know?
Yeah. I love that it's basically the 2 complete opposite sides of the spectrum for getting rid of it, you know?
What do you mean?
So each one has 2 opposite sides. So weary, you either spend a full day at peace or you get wasted.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Enraged is unleash your anger on the world or refuse to engage in violence, and either way the burden is gone. So you can choose to indulge in 2 completely opposite ways for each of these in order to get rid of your burden.
It really lets your character be whoever your character's gonna be. Instead of being wary, is like, oh well, if you're wary, you need to like just spend a week at peace. It's like, well, what if my character's like a weird like gutter punk that likes to get fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, well, then they have that option, you know? Yeah. Or if partying was just more in there. Yeah. It's very cool. It's very small, a very small thing to add on that gives more option to the player to play into their character.
I love it.
And it's fucking cool, actually.
It's really cool. I like it a lot. I love the line to the left, too.
You can live with burdens, but they weigh you down. Yeah. I like the art piece of the 1 ton weight with the person under that carrying it. And here's a little blurb on juice. It does mention again, juice is basically solidified essence, and it's used as the currency in this game. But obviously, it also has other uses.
Yeah, I like. This is not the first game, and it won't be the last game where like the currency is a consumable.
Yeah,
I love that where it's like I could buy food with this or I could eat it, you know what I mean?
Listen, I can spend this ink that I got or I can huff it and cast spells, you know?
Yeah.
And next we have the Name Your Punk D66 D66 table. That's where I rolled mine. Mine was Stone Watcher, and then my nickname was Vulture, which is just what my friends call me.
Going Vulture. I don't want to roll the punk name. Let me roll 3d66s real quick. 2d6. I got 36. So that's Oak. 52. Oak Apple. No. Gotta go in one. Oak the Knife. And then 56. But my friends call me Shark. Yeah. I mean, Perfect. The knife makes sense for my assassin, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So moving on to companions. Yeah, if you're playing with a smaller group, basically you can add companions. You roll their ability scores in order and give them 1 HP and a D6 blade. They don't have adaptations or burdens. They're not real punks, you know? And they have about 10 inventory slots. If it has to do something dangerous or against their interest, your companions will only go through it if they fail a will save, fail 3 similar will saves, and they will leave the party. So if you make them do something 3 times they don't want to do, and they do it, like they'll leave because they don't want to be doing those things.
Yeah, which is fucking great.
Yeah. Here it touches on like a funnel. Funnel adventures are cool. We love a funnel.
Yeah. I do like above that though with the little helps, like the companion thing. It's really interesting how many ways there are to play this game, and that you can play the big group, you can play with the small group with companions. It has solo rules. Like there's really like
this is a 1 to 6 player game, you know, like really, and actually is. So
yeah. Very, very, very much so. And the funnel thing is awesome too. I love that it's not just like for an adventure, it's like written in game. It's just like make a bunch of companions and do a funnel adventure, and whichever one survives or whatever. Like I love funnel games as much as I love funnel adventures.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good time, especially if you're with a party that's like really into making all deaths as dramatic or comical as possible. It's an amazing funnel adventure if you do that. Mercenaries, it just gives you 3 different examples of some mercenaries you could hire. Obviously, you could build your own. And it has the juice cost next to their name and some example stats. It's great. And also, once again, very easy to just write up a bunch more of your own. And here's some examples of what the cheapest, the mid cost, and the higher end cost is. So fill in the spaces in between, you know.
Yeah. It's very much hireling rules, and they're good. Yeah. They're clean, they're concise. I will say, is this the page? I don't think it's the page yet. We can keep going. I'll point something out at some point.
Yeah. Oh, another really interesting rule: the life path. Your life like before. This. So basically, this is the ability to gain more past your like initial adaptation that you rolled, and there does come some risk with it. It actually kind of reminds me of Traveler.
Yep. I was gonna say, you know where this is going.
Like you roll on this table, and there is a chance. There's a 1 in 6 chance that you just die.
Yeah. This is like an extremely simplified version of like Traveler character creation. Yeah.
But if you want your character to you don't have to do this. This is an optional rule, but But if you want to add a little bit more to your punk, you absolutely can. There's just a chance they may die and you will get nothing. Yeah. But on the table, it's events from your past life. The first one is you die in the waste. The second one is hard times. You roll a burden and you learn a trade, which is on page 163. It's under the NPCs section, but you can click and go straight there. 3. You settle and learn a trade, so you know hard times. You don't have to roll a burden, you just get the trade. 4, you're faced with a hard choice. Roll a burden and adaptation, or no burdens and no adaptation. So nothing could happen on this one if you don't want to take a burden, or if you're already at 2 and you don't want to start the game deprived. 5, a moment of good luck, or a friendship made, gain an adaptation. 6, sometimes things work out. Gain an adaptation or remove a burden. So if you started with a burden, you can just immediately remove it.
Yeah. The rules for it, though, are really good, too. So to create your life path for your punk, you roll a d6 as many times as you want. But each time you do, you actually add a decade to your life. And then 4 burdens, or rolling to die on the life path, and then you're dead. So if you end up with 4 burdens while rolling, you just die. Or if you ever roll a 1, it's great. Like you could roll up like a bunch of punks that just like completely flame out, and I think that's so great. And then the column off to the side, it just says try not to die, which I love a lot. So yeah, this is really great. It specifically says like you're playing Russian roulette with your character, so watch out if you want to do this. So okay. Next we have the growing and changing. This is like character creation bits and things like this, but we're getting more into like key items and things like that, like adaptation. So you're adapting to the world during the adventure. If the correct key item is found, you can choose to gain an adaptation to adapt your body in a physically and mentally draining process. Each time you do, you take a burden, but you also become more resilient. You add 1 to your HP. Then you choose to roll a d20 for 1 of strength, dex, or wisdom. If a result is higher than the ability, it increases by 1 to a max of 18. If your ability doesn't increase this way, your current luck increases by 1d6. Stone, orbs, implants are absorbed into the flesh. Mushrooms, roots, molds, and teas are consumed. All require a quiet period. So this is basically the like character advancement, and like that's all this is. So you don't really there is no like class that you can just like advance in. There's no levels, which I really like you can increase your stats a little bit, but it's always a roll, so it's always extremely difficult after you roll your initial stuff to continue to increase it, and eventually you're just going to max out anyway. I really enjoy this style of game in that like you don't have like, again, 5e for example, like you don't have to wait for like at level 5 I get this, at level 7 I get this. Like it's very much more narrative guided in that you can choose when and how to absorb whatever key item it is. And then you get your HP bump. You might get a bit of an ability bump, but then you pretty much are just getting what you get from the key item as the primary thing. So you can choose when and how to do that, and that's really fun and interesting way to do character creation, to have it be much less linear and much more narrative focused, which is great. And the key items themselves are weird, funky stuff that you find and that you literally absorb into your body. So we'll go over that a little bit more. Downtime is the thing that exists. You can do things that you can do in any kind of OSR, NSR game in downtime. Like you can find a teacher, you can learn new things like that. So you can do that. Very interesting piece here. I love that it says turn left on this dude's forehead, but the arrows definitely go to the right. Like,
if you're looking at him, you know?
Yeah. He's what's up?
Keep going.
Oh, and he's definitely huffing on that pipe. You know, yeah. So how to play? We're actually to the rules of the game. We'll go this a bit more. So, how to play? There are turns. Each punk gets a time to shine. A turn is a move and an action, and this is a bit of, I think this is one of the first places I saw this was more of like in Black Hack. I can't remember what they called it in Black Hack, but it's like you get a move and an action, and that could be like in combat or out of combat, and it could be seconds or it could be hours or days. You just basically continue a turn order even in the narrative, as opposed to just kind of being like up for whatever. And I really like that like you can basically just be like, it's your turn to like push forward what's happening.
Yeah.
And that feels better than like the kind of like default to like a party leader and the stuff like that. And people, it allows people the opportunity to shine and not fall back so much, which is cool. Saves is the core mechanic. It's a dice roll. You roll for a risky action. It's d20 equal to or under your ability score. A crit is when you get exactly on. And that's it. There's a contest though of 2 characters up against each other. You determine who is the most at risk, and only they roll. So it's not a roll off against each other. So like if we're both doing something and we're doing against each other, if you're more risky, if you're say you're on unsafe footing or something, you would always be the one that rolls, not me. And I think that's really interesting. Luck is a thing. It exists. It's a special attribute. You can decrease or burn it to modify a roll. Whenever you roll luck, your luck changes. And if you pass, lose 1 luck. If you fail, you gain 1 luck. So every time you do a luck roll, you could potentially like keep going down and down, or up or down, or up or down. And I like this kind of swinginess potential of luck versus it being just like a thing that's just gone and always gone.
I agree. Also, I'm so sorry to everyone listening along. When I was reading the player stats, I did totally skip luck because it is actually up there. And that one is a D6 plus 6. So you have potential having 7 to 12 luck, which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, especially since like the only real way to get luck back is to roll to get it back, I believe. Like you can only get luck back by attempting to use it. Yeah,
that's right. If you fail a luck check, your luck goes up. So
yeah. So it's an interesting way that like the more luck you actually successfully use, the more goes away, and the more you fail to use, the more you get back, which is a neat, interesting way to do it. There's short rest, full rest, long rest, bulky items, deprivation of burdens. It's literally into the odd and Karen. Like short rest is when you can just take a breather after combat to get all of your hit protection back. Full rest and that's just a breather. Full rest is a week and you get all your ability scores back. Bulky things, most things are one-handed, so it takes up 1 slot. Bulky are 2. If you're carrying 3 bulky items, you're deprived. Deprived means that you're unable to recover HP or ability scores, so you have to get rid of that first. And then armor, shields and armor provide bonus to defense. Like +1 armor means when someone rolls, like if you have 1 armor and someone rolls a 3, you only take 2 damage. You know. Violence, so the reaction tables under violence, so it's the standard D6 reaction table. Hostile, wired, wary card. It's very much like the standard one. Turns in combat, everyone takes a turn. If the risk of being surprised, because don't forget, if you surprise damage goes against your armor first, but then goes directly to strength. It doesn't go to your HP first, and that's only if you're like pure real surprise. I like one thing on the side. It says normally violence means something has gone very wrong, as like a bolded thing in that column. And if you go to the next page, in the spread, it would say normally violence means something has gone very wrong. Like it's literally on like every spread in the violence section. I really like that they put that in there that way, as just like the reinforcement in the reinforcement column. Actions, you get to move and perform an action, as we said before, that's in or out of combat. We're talking about combat specifically now, so you get to do that. And an action can be anything from negotiating to attacking, fleeing, whatever. Actions are detailed below when we get to that. And it says for other actions, the GM can call for the character at risk to roll a save. Attacks, an attacker rolls a die dictated by their weapon. We'll get to that in just a second. And very much, obviously, this is still into the odd. If the attack would be impaired, you roll a D4. If it's enhanced, you roll a D6 or a D12. If you ever roll multiple damage dice, you only take the highest one. And if multiple damage dice are rolled against you, you only take the highest one. And that's it. So if 10 people hit you with a sword, whoever rolled the highest number, you just take that damage. And again, that's very much just mark of the odd. Damage, I think I just said everything about that. So when anything takes damage, it goes against a hurt protection, armor first, then hurt protection, then strength. If your strength goes all the way down, you're dead. We talked about the rolls for a strength roll previously. No matter how many attacks are made on a single target in a round, only the single highest die gets to go against them. I said that already. But each other die rolling a 4 or higher adds +1, which I do like.
Yeah, so that was a very cool and clean rule.
Yeah, if you have 5 people attacking you, whichever one's the highest, you take that die. Say someone rolled a 6, you take 6 damage, and 2 of the other people rolled at least a 4, you would take a total of 8 damage. And I really like that a lot. That's one thing I don't know if that's not a normal into the odd rule, right?
No, it's not.
I like it. I like that, like, because you kind of get that sense of like, yeah, I'll just go fight. I'll just go run into 10 dudes and I only take the 1 damage. I do like that this gives you that opportunity, or that the don't do that, ability score loss, we talked about that. If any of your scores ever hit 0, you're dead, or your strength is dead. But if your will or dex does, you're paralyzed or delirious, but you can recover from that actually. You're down if you roll that under your strength when the strength is like critical damage to you, but you can recover from that. If no one helps you or you don't recover within an hour, you die. And death is a thing. When you die, make a character as quick as possible, and it says specifically to the coming back into the game is more important than realism. So just if they just like pop out of a hole in the ceiling, whatever, like they're back. Woo, good, keep going, you know.
I'm gonna make that player sit at the table and watch for 20 minutes till I find a convenient time to add them in.
Yeah, go grab a bite, pee, and we'll give you a buzz.
Yeah, no, they have to sit there and watch. They can't go anywhere.
No, yeah, just you sit and watch. That's what you get for dying. More violence. Morale is a thing. It requires a will save to avoid running away. I do like there's a little column on the side. It does say run away. It's very rare that anything fights to the death. It's so final. Think about it. What would you do? You know? So groups require a will save to avoid running away. So literally the default is that they will run away if half of their members are done. And if the group has a leader, you use a leader's will score. Fleeing to safety under pursuit requires a dex save and somewhere to escape to, again, into the odd. Units, there's rules for attacking like a unit. Gotta get that unit, you know?
Yeah.
I just want to say unit a bunch. So attacks against units by individuals are impaired, except for blast attacks. And attacks against individuals by unit are enhanced and deal blast damage. Spells in combat. So a character can use an orb's power as a normal action, but will take a burden and have to make a will save. So this is talked about briefly here in combat, but in the magic section, we go into a little bit more. Anyone can cast certain types of magic, but only freaks can cast magic in combat, and they always take a burden. Always asterisk. Have to take a burden to cast. We'll get to that though. If the save is failed, they take D6 will, and essential chaos ensues. So we'll get to essential chaos, which is fun. Shooting. That's a thing that you can do. The GM adjudicates all positions. There's a section here about using minis in combat. It says you can if you want to, do whatever. But this is like a bunch of different effects in combat, right? So near range, far range, range weapons, if in soft cover, if in hard cover, if hiding, blast, aim, close, like the different tactical options that you can use in the game. So like soft cover adds +1 to armor, even beyond A3. It took me a little bit to get to A3. I don't know if they explain A3 until literally the bestiary, so that's one thing that might, because when they talk about armor before, they talk about +1 armor, but then they go A3, which that's a bit confusing. They wouldn't have explained what A3 means in this section. Hard cover is +2, even beyond A3, because you can only have up to 3 armor pieces. You can only carry 3 armor at a time in your 10. And then damage from the world. This is a whole table of like falling damage, rock falls, poison, things like that, and the different stats that it would go towards, strength, dex, like whatever. Great table.
Yeah, I really like this table. I'm like, oh, cool. It's a good way to contextualize things. I don't know, like you could have this printed out and on your like game master screen, or you can just have this in your easy table version of this game open, just as a little reference to like world damage, and I like that.
Yeah, I do like it. I think it's really interesting to have. I mean, this book has so many tables. We haven't hit any yet. Just let you know, 54 pages, and we haven't hit any yet. But trust me, they're coming.
The back half is pretty much all tables.
Yeah, we're almost done with the game because the vast majority after this is just tables, which is fine. Which is great. They're all great.
It's fantastic. I love tables.
Yeah. It is really nice. If you want to know what horse tranquilizer does, it's on this table. Time exists, or does it? You know, round, turn, watch. I like this. Rounds are 10 seconds. Turns are 10 minutes. And there's the standard turn of like if you're exploring shit, the GM rolls a d6 every 10 minutes on a 1, then an encounter happens. Blah 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 blah. Watches are 4 hours in game. When traveling and stuff like that. And then there is a D6 table, or there's a list of 6 for the different watches. There's dawn, morning, afternoon, twilight, night, and dead of night. And And there's also like if you roll a 1 to a 3, it's a day, and 4 to 6, it's night. That's a nice little. Again, so much of this is like you can just roll up everything that you need to do 5 minutes before the game starts. And I like that you can just roll a d6 to know exactly what time of day it is or which watch you're on. I thought that was a really cool thing to have. And I like the little vibey thing to the side. They mostly come out at night, mostly. Again, it's a great way to use that the column off to the side. Okay, equipment and inventory. So trade, everything's done in juice, baby. Like that's about it.
It's all it's juice all the way down.
Yeah. For random NPCs, Punk should roll d20 twice against the Punk's luck. 2 fails, they don't want to haggle with you. 1 pass, 1 fail, there's a complication, so they're haggling difficulty with you, or they want something from you, or whatever. And if you get 2 passes, they'll trade with you. I like that. It's a super queen click. Super queen. It's a queen click. It's a quick, clean rule. I enjoy it a lot. And then supply. One of my favorite rules in all of TTRPGs. Quantum inventory, I love it. Supply here, gear bubbles in like the vanilla game. It's quantum inventory. You have a supply. It is just a thing that is both nothing and everything at the same time. It is your Schrodinger's inventory. You just have a space that says supply. When you need something, and it's a basic adventuring item, it's a common available item, you just say, oh hey, that supply is now rope, and then you mark off the supply, you write rope in your inventory, and that piece of supply was and always was rope. You just hadn't named it yet, and I love that. I love it so much. It's in Derp is the first place I saw it, but I stole it, and it's in like all my games that don't exist. Yeah. Ammo is an interesting thing. It's basically like a poor man's usage die. So it's an abstraction with a diminishing resource. So diminishing resources, you roll. This must be later. Spend 1 ammo to fully replenish your chosen weapon. All other diminishing items need 1 supply to restore their resource. Where did I? So I'm gonna quickly go to the bottom of the next page because this is what I'm talking about. Diminishing resources being used, like batteries, torches, things like that. You roll 2d6 each time it is utilized. On a combined score of 6 or below, you get rid of one of the d6s. And when you're rolling a single d6, if you roll a 1, you have 1 of that item left. I love that.
Yeah,
it's great.
Very simple.
Yeah, it's a way to use usage die where you only use d6s.
Yeah.
Which
is funny in a game where it's not only d6s in this game.
That's literally what I was about to say. If you have d4s, d6, d8s, and d12s,
yeah,
you could
if
just do.
If you did this in just Bastards, because Bastards is like a d6 only system, essentially, so the d20 for test, but everything else is d6. I'd be like, that would make sense. But for this one, it's like you could just use usage dice because this works fine. I take no issue with this really.
No, but not at all. But I actually have a post-it note here that says figure out how to do ammo in my game, and I kind of want to do usage die, but like I was like, my game only has d6s. I'm stealing this. Yeah.
Yes, this is a great thing for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wear and repair. So things can wear and need repair. If a 1 is rolled during combat, something gets wear, including weapons, armor, things like that. You can use a supply to repair an item. So if you have an empty supply, if you have a supply unused, you can spend it to get rid of the wear on an item, and it's great. 1 supply or special materials can be used to repair it. So damage, it says if damage is unspecified, unarmed attacks are d4, standard weapons are d6, two-handed weapons are d8. If 2 dice are shown, you take the highest. If your attack is impaired, you roll a d4. And if your attack is, what's the other one from impaired? Juiced up. Come on, Marty, the boy. Enhanced, d12. So you get everything from d4 to d12. Inventory, you get 10 slots. We talked about everything's 1 unless it's bulky. Yep. Resources, I went over that. Loot and stuff. Do you want to go into loot or you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, there's salvage. Hey, there's salvage all over the world. It could be new stuff, could be old stuff, could be stuff. All those we're kind of harking to, like whether new stuff's kind of like the corpo stuff, it's the new technology they're kind of using. Stuff is just the general things that you find, and old stuff is like remnants of the old world and the items you should get from that. There are roll tables that are very good coming up for that. Yeah, a GM should roll for a new item once in each new overground area or something that's just laying about, which I do like that. As you're traveling the world, every area you go to should have something, some sort of stuff in it. You know, this is this is that type of game. You're exploring, you're finding.
Yeah, rarely, but I mean, anywhere you go, rarely will you not find either loot or stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and remedies. Their remedies are rare plants, stones, and mixtures imbued with essence. So we have balms. Balm. Like my monk had. It's a pungent paste made from a blend of powerful herbs. A dose can restore D6 strength, dex, or wisdom. You have anti-essential dust, which temporarily disables all essence within 50 feet. You have black leaf, which when ingested, you lose a burden, but is then required. You're then required to make a will save to avoid its addictive properties. I think that's pretty funny.
Hey, listen, you can forget your burdens if you take this tea.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, take this. You won't worry about anything for a while. And then if you fail that save, it leaves you deprived and unable to focus until you can eat another black leaf, providing only a day's reprieve from addiction. It's actually kind of a brutal addiction rule.
It's brutal. Well, I mean, so is most addiction.
Yeah, totally. I take no issue with it.
I love the next art piece. It's so good in and of itself, but then the graffiti at the top.
Mofos come out and play.
Yeah, very much a callback.
Warriors. Come out and play. You ever seen that movie?
I've seen enough to that.
Oh, fuck you, Ryan.
To know what's happening. I've seen that part a million times, just like everyone over the age of 30.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
I'm over the age of 30, so.
You are, and you've seen it a million times, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Ingredients. I'm gonna be honest. I actually didn't really deep dive this section keep it 100 with you.
Then I'll look at it.
I got distracted by the immediate tables on the next page, and I was like, "Oh, here they
are." Forage and find. You can collect stuff. So basically, this is a way to. I do like. This is definitely the kind of game where you should have foraging rules, where you and not only foraging rules, but also I'm foraging in the way that you like mix shit together, which is great. So you can combine ingredients, you can find ingredients. There's a huge list of tables we'll go over next for minor stuff. So ingredients can be combined through alchemy or cooking. You know, some would say that's the same thing. But at a stronghold, there might be someone who can do it for you. So when in a safe place, you can take time to combine any 3 different ingredients of your choice. And then you roll for the result of the combination, which becomes a concoction. And this combination is now fixed in your game. And I love that. So whoever first makes this combination creates that forever in your game. And I love that. That's such a cool little rule that I want to somehow steal in some way. So why don't you what you want to roll up some shit?
Yeah. Okay.
So you need to roll up. Result of combination of 3 ingredients. So you need to roll 3 d66s. Okay,
I got a pumpkin.
Okay.
I got honey. Starting strong so far.
Yeah, both are good. I would.
And aromatic truffle.
Ooh. Okay. And then roll another d66 to see what the result is.
So listen, guys. Here's what you do. You get a pumpkin, you empty it out, and you fill it with truffles and cover it in honey. And then when you eat that, you turn translucent for 10 minutes.
As one does, you know. As one does. And now forever, if you ever put truffles inside a pumpkin and cover it in honey and eat it, you are translucent. So great. Some of them, like, again, the tables are fantastic. So you vomit maggots, you fear the moon.
Fear the moon is such a good one.
You can read one mind. What's one? anti-essential dust. Like you can actually like find the combination to make anti-essential dust, which is just crazy. Imagine being in this world and being like, nah, fuck the essential, like fuck Jay, you know, like I don't want what Gaia put into the world to fix how we fucked it up, you know. But honestly, at the end of the day, I bet you corpos just like blast that stuff into the air, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Armor table. It's just a it's a D66 armor table that gives you the value, the slots, and the armor of everything. And these are also fucking funny. Bark plate armor, a saucepan lid shield, plastic foam bracers, nano chameleon suit. Very much like I don't know why, like Shannara keeps popping into my head. You know what I mean? You ever read any of these Shannara books?
I haven't, but I've been meaning to recently.
Yeah, they're okay. But it's very much like I call it future past, you know what I mean? Where like people think it's a fantasy world, but then they come across something that's very clearly an engine, but they don't know what an engine is, but you know what an engine is, you know? There's a weapons table. Again, great shit. Any of these that stick out to you, just like call them out, because like the razor sharp boomerang is great. The rusted crowbar.
Glass shank is a great one that's on there. Because it sounds rough.
Yeah. And these are they all take up an individual page themselves. There's the stuff table, which is another D66 table, stuff value and slots, like the the spiked boots, the grease, the solar powered torch, you know. So you get the stuff, you get the old stuff, you get the new stuff, and you get the cool stuff.
The cool stuff.
Yeah. And then
cool,
you get the
if you're just populating a world with any kind of stuff, you literally just roll 3 D6s, and it'll take you to the first D6 will point out one of these tables, and then the next 2 will tell you where on the table to look for the thing that's going to be in this space.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. Like the armor table is 1XX, weapons table is 2XX, stuff table is 3XX, old stuff is 4XX, and new stuff is 5XX, cool stuff is 6XX. The unique stuff table is a D66 table unto its own. Do you want to roll up a unique stuff? So 2 D66s.
Why did I close the dice roller, Ryan?
I don't know why you would ever.
I don't know either. I rolled a 45. I got a sleeping bomb. It's blast damage, will save, or sleep. Nice.
Dope. Yeah. Key items. So the key items, as we said before, key items are the thing that you can actually ingest into your body for an adaptation. So this actually gives you the item. So for example, if you take the Darkwood root, right, and you absorb that into your body, your adaptation is shadow. And there is a value and a number of slots. But you can have this as an item and use it as an item until you decide to absorb it into your body as a way to do character advancement. Because again, the only character advancement in this game is absorption of key items in your body to cause adaptations, which I love. I love that so much.
The character advancement in this, I can't remember if this is the book that says that. I don't think it's, but it's much more width than depth, you know?
Yes. Yeah. It's a non-linear advancement. Yeah. Like you just you narratively can take those key items in and get some cool stuff to do. You get 1 HP. You might bump up 1 score, and that's it. So really, it comes down to the key items and how you choose to play that narratively, which is fucking fantastic. There's a whole USB stick table.
I rolled for that an MP4 movie files of Alien and Aliens.
Nice. The MP4s of Lynch's Dune and Eraserhead is also great.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Never again will I watch Eraserhead. Once was enough.
Dude, I love Lynch. Gosh, we're almost halfway through the game. But again, we're not going to go over like a bunch of the stuff at the end. So orbs, the essential vessels and things like that. Did you go? This is mostly magic. Did you deep dive this? I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, orbs are essential focus. Basically, they allow you to cast. They take up 2 inventory slots. They are 2-handed. Whenever you want to cast into them, you got to stare into them and then say magic words.
Gotta ponder it, you know?
Yeah. Orbs can attract the attention of those who seek essence within. Obviously, they're valuable, so you can get rated for them. If an orb is absorbed, which is not an option, the recipient merely needs to clasp their hands or use a focus, such as a significant object, to channel its power. So you can take them into your body. You can be full of orbs. Simple orbs contain 3 random spells. Named orbs, key items, contain 1 random spell until absorbed for adaptation. And then you have shards, which are like mini orbs, right? They're kind of spell scrolls. They contain 1 spell. They're released when broken. They don't add burden, so you can just cast that one thing you have. They shatter when used, and they can be absorbed by a freak to permanently learn a spell. So if you're already a freak, you can learn a spell through shards.
Yep. Get even more freaky.
Even more freaky. Yeah. So spell casting. So yeah, like Ryan said earlier, anyone can cast a spell by holding an orb, but they must add a burden to their inventory, occupying 1 slot. Given time and safety, punks can enhance a spell's impact, e.g. affecting multiple targets, increasing its power, if they have the time to like really focus and cast without an additional cost. If the punk is deprived, burdened, or in danger, the GM may ask them to make a will save to avoid any extra ill effects from casting a spell. Consequences of failure are on par with the intended effect and may result in an added burden, the destruction of the orb, or D6 will damage, or even death. So bad things can happen. If you're already beat the hell up and then you try to cast, or you're in a bad situation, you try to cast. So there is some anyone can cast, but also it can kill you.
Real quick, I did want to point out one thing, and this is something I noticed, and I was like, wait a minute, did I remember that? And we happen to be on the page. So in the beginning, the first paragraph in orbs, I will say that I do like the bullet point aspect, but in a lot of these rules are very much like pared down by the language, you know what I mean? Like, to be very simplistic. But I think there are times where it might be a little bit much where and I don't know if it's like layout wise. So if you look at page 74, they fill the entire page, right? And even and if you look at like that top paragraph, it literally ends like there's not really any space to do like another word without jumping to another thing. But if you read like the second line, it says they take up 2 inventory slots when carried, or none if a key item and absorbed during an adaptation. And like there's times where they say that, and it's just like they take up 2 inventory slots when carried, or none if it is a key item and is absorbed during an adaptation, right? They chopped off like a bunch of like is and like a little words where like you get it. You know what I mean? But like, so it says like, or none if a key item and absorbed during an adaptation. I had to read that a second time because again, like, or none if it is a key item and is absorbed during an adaptation reads a little easier. Like, that does come up like throughout a little bit where they like, I don't know if it is just like to fit the layout because it is pretty tight.
They sacrifice language for layout a little bit.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, it's fine. Like it's fine, but it is something to point out to be like, how are you really going to fix that? Because you're going to have a whole nother page because you want to put an is in there, but also like, you know, like it's just a weird thing that I did notice throughout where like there are times though where even when there is room, it's like simplified to like almost like an outline language versus like a prose language where it explains a little bit more. And I don't really know if I have an opinion about it. It's just something I pointed out, like I noticed in the writing a little bit where it is maybe sometimes just it's a tiny bit oversimplified. But it didn't really bother me just being like pedantic and picky because that's what we do. Anyway,
I'm mostly unbothered by it, but spell casting. Yeah. So anyone can cast a spell, but it can really fuck you up and you'll have to take a burden. But freaks are different. They're the people who've gained adaptations through absorbing an orb already. They only risk a burden. So they will roll will to cast a spell, and then and risk gaining a burden on failure rather than automatically getting one. Failure on the roll casts an additional random other spell simultaneously, acting at the GM's discretion, and inflicts D6 will damage on the caster. Essential chaos does ensue. So yeah, you don't have to take a burden to cast. You risk a burden, but also if you fail, weirder shit may happen.
Which is the best kind of magic.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love the art piece, the strip across the bottom with like the guy holding the orb out and like the magic just like, but like the pink glow on his face and stuff like that is so good. Daniel is such a fucking good artist.
Yeah, a really great artist. Yeah. And there's also so much art in this book. It's really a treat.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's and but it's not too much, and there's plenty of pages where there aren't any. And the layout itself, like with the way that they use the colors, the way they use a column on the side, like everything it's done so well.
So when essence breaks, when will damage is taken in the process of casting a spell, there is a risk of the caster being permanently altered, twisted by forces beyond their understanding, marked by essence. And so there are some fun. Why don't you roll a d6?
Yeah.
I mean, tell me how much how much will damage you took
for this essential chaos. Okay. Boom. 2.
2. A century.
No. Come on. I guess I'm better than 2. 5.
Cool. Mutation. Skin gain scales. Well, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead to the next page where it has mutation, or maybe it's the page after that. Because there are chaos details, which will give you options for what you get.
Oh, I forgot this is like a nested table. This is like an HP table, but for essential chaos. So you roll the damage, and then you roll a d6 on that type of damage. So I need to roll another d6. Let's just flip it. I rolled a 2 and a 5, so let's do 5 and 2. So what's the 2 on on
your mutation? Hundreds of tiny tentacles sprout from your skin, slightly adhesive.
Listen,
you're a fucking monster.
You're
not coming back to town with us. You'll scare people.
You know what's cool about that is that you can pick stuff up a lot, right? What's terrible about that is you will always have like hair and stuff all over you, because if you're slightly sticky, it's just like dust and pet hair all the time. You know what I mean? You're like one of those like stretchy hands that's cool for like 1 second before it hits the dust, and then you have to go like use soap and water on it.
I completely
forgot one. Dude, the eye stalks one, pop out. Eyes pop out on stalks, can be retracted but still appear bulbous, is so good. I completely forgot that this was like a nested table, so there's literally 36 options for how the essential chaos affects you, and it's so good. What were they? So it's sensory, alteration, incursion, mutation, and evolution.
Incursion is
the
really
other way to advance your character.
Incursion is really interesting. Like bad things will just like are coming your way, like viscous slide. Something viscous slides through a crack in reality. Just gray ooze. There's there now.
Incursion is definitely
essential troll.
Incursion is definitely the best one. Like that's really, really fantastic. Sound of wet slaps, a creaking yawn, a piercing screech, a tentacle hell. Hey, one man's hell is another man's heaven. You know what I mean? So love that. That's great. What are you on? Visions?
Yeah, visions. You can see visions in this. Many things inspire visions, from substances to deprivation, to taking on an adaptation. You can roll for a vision here. Of the past, the present, of the future, of the past again, the present, of the future. But I mean, they're cool. They're almost like story hooks, or they're hooks essentially. You can roll on this table to get essentially a hook for something to do, which is cool for the player, but also really cool for the GM, because I can be like, okay, cool, you rolled a 6. You see a corporo stronghold, and this and that, and then I can write that, and that'll be our next adventure.
Yeah, I mean, if visions are always come true, then you got to throw it in. Like if you roll that 3 and like in the future a hermit beckons, you got to throw a hermit in there, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. It's there's a lot of little stuff in here, you know, that is like it's not cumbersome. but it's fun. And like, if you, frankly, a lot of these things, if you didn't ever do visions, like this game would function great.
Be fine.
If you had a reason to, or you wanted like to start building some hooks for you to work on, if you need some inspiration, you just do that. Yeah.
This is where I think a lot of the Vault of Varn inspiration comes in, because like so much of Varn is built on like little tables like this and stuff that like could spice up your game if you want, but don't break the game if you don't use it, but are like super vibey and like really interesting. So this is definitely where Varn comes in, as like the 4 or 5 games that make up this game in a very good way. And there's a chunk of J, right? Yeah, spells. Woo.
Yeah. Spells. You can do it. If a spell is held in an orb or shard, roll on the spell tables to discover what is held. Flip a coin, A or B, then roll D66. So there's, flip a coin.
Lots of spells. I will roll a D2 because I don't have a coin with me. I roll a 2, so B.
Cool. We'll leave B side. Then roll D66.
2 6-sided dice. Boom. 14.
14. Inside of your spell shard, inside that essence shard you just found, is fog. You coalesce a deep fog around you that extends up to 30 feet in any direction. Pretty cool one.
Dope.
You're one away from summon, where you rip a tear in reality, unleashing something. It may listen to you if you're lucky.
Tentacle hell, baby.
Yeah, the spells are good. They're all very weird. I think maybe the one that I was looking at the other day that I was like, I love this one because it's a very, not basic spell, but just the way it's described adds so much to it. It was, what the hell was it? Atomic something. We'll never know. Oh, yeah. On page 83, Atomic Flux, which is the 65 choice. Separate your atoms before combining again a second later up to 50 feet away. It's teleportation. But the way that it's described,
like Star Trek. Yeah.
Yes, but the way it's described, I think lends a lot to like how your players will also visualize what that is, and your like it really adds to this weirdo vibe that the whole game has going on. I really like how it's explained.
I would say all the tables they're written so well.
Yeah. Tables pretty much all the way down from here, except the world generator rules.
So did you do the casting spells under stress? Because that was one of the important bits about spells.
We started reading spells. So casting spells under stress. So in this game, spells are like fairly cumbersome, and they do require like time and preparation. You can cast, freaks can cast in combat, but they must risk a burden against will to cast, which I think they already have to anyway.
Yeah, but so only freaks can cast if there's any stress, which includes combat.
Yeah. So
and
casting
they
works
still
for
risk a
freaks
burden.
the same way, but only freaks can cast in combat.
Yeah, because like anyone can cast a spell, but only freaks can cast if there's any stress whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which
and
I like.
there's a light concentration rule right here, I would call it. Spell will last typically until the freak loses concentration, gets hurt, or gets hungry.
Yeah. Listen, can't always be hungry out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, that's as much concentration rule as I need for anything ever,
Yeah. Another full page between the two spell list is the art that they used for the second cover with the girl with the blue hair. So technically, I could just extract these pages out and have all of the art if I wanted to. But yeah, what's after that is just a ton of stuff, and there's procedures and stuff for it. We don't really need to dig into the like exploring the world procedures. Do you want to?
Just so you know, there is a very in-depth Varn-esque world map building procedure that does work very well. I ran through it a little bit. I definitely would suggest that you buy this book and you read this part.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. So it's like it's exploring the world. So there's the map and time scales. There's adventuring procedure. It breaks it down by like weeks and hours and days and how to roll, like those maps in the beginning of it talked about those points that has those like key things off to the left. It's so cool. The maps we saw before are in this section of the game too. weather. It literally talks about weather. I love the one ruler where it basically talks about like change the weather up to match your players. Pathetic fallacy. Occasionally shift the weather to reflect the player's mood. Rain starting when they feel sad. You know, I love that. It's just like, hey, you're sad. Here's rain. Yeah. More map exploration stuff, and then there's basically like a it's not a gazetteer, but it's tables for each of the different kind of places. Again, very Varney. So there's a bunch of tables for the wastelands. There's a bunch of tables for like wastelands weather, day encounters, night encounters, all of that just for the wastelands, and then you get all of the same thing for the wilderness. You get it for the ruins. You get it, and then art, a ton of art for all this stuff too, like full page, gorgeous piece of art all the way through. Again, night, day, random stuff, like everything, and then random counter tables, a table for D6 table for droids, factions, stalking beasts, crawlers, great beasts, denizens, waster punk faction tables, a mofoing bestiary. So you get to actually the bestiary here. So there's a breakdown of how the creature stats work, including the armor, and then you got like android militia, grizzly bear. Any of these beasties jump out at you? The dust whale is kind of cool.
I like the replicants just because they're referred to in like the world building section as well.
Yeah.
They're
6 HP, 1A. Yeah,
they're the wizard with the orb piece.
They're replicants. Oh yeah, the recluse. But yeah. I also like tentacle hell is not just a thing that we brought up a bunch. It's actually a stat. Yeah. 18 HP, 1 armor, 18 strength, 8 dex, 6 will, savage thorns, which is a D10 plus D10. And it's unit. It's a whole unit. And then the bullet points are gargantuan networks of writhing fleshy tentacles with central horrific spined mouth. So very much like a I mean, there's literally a picture of it on this page. It's horrifying.
It's the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, it's a Sarlacc pit, but like I don't know why it feels worse. Is it like the green?
But worse. It is worse.
Chameleons, it can mimic adjacent surfaces, occupy tunnels and caverns, victims that save against critical damage caused by the worm are knocked prone, and then critical damage. The target is grappled and dragged 10 feet towards the mouth. If they reach the mouth, they're devoured. Anything inside the mouth receives D12 acid damage each round. So it'd be very quickly before you're dead. So that's great. There's the whole section here on faction rules, not only how to like the procedure and how to use them, but like basically every faction has a goal, and once a week you should advance those goals and the players should be able to interact with those goals to help or hinder them, which is cool. So a lot of good faction stuff here with faction rules. And we're gonna skip through most of the rest of that. Ecological events, the whole section on events here, job tables, the solo mofos, which is its own zine, but is in the game here too. So it gives you a whole breakdown on the solo rules, including the oracle and everything. Solo mofo example of play here, portents. Punk NPC maker, so there's the tables in the back to make all of your NPCs. More NPCs. The appendix M made me giggle a little bit, like EM instead of N, because it's ECO MOFOS. So the stuff here is like a bunch of Philip K. Dick, some Ursula Le Guin, Deep Carmen Observatory, Eye of the Master, Star Wars: A New Hope. It's a great mix of not just books, but like all sorts of different media and things like that. Picture of a USB stick, a whole page of weapons in the back, character sheet in the back, which is great. And the only thing about it is like there's no place to actually write your burdens. I guess you could put it in your notes, but there's like the 1, 2, 3, 4 dots to put burdens there. But it's a great clean looking table.
Well, burdens take up inventory slots, so you would just put it under inventory.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Yeah, and then
the back piece, which is just like a mouse with transmitters in its head smoking a pipe. So copy paste, mark of the odd, human made. Great game. Let's review it and get out of here. Ooh. If you're watching this, I'm scrolling real fast to the top for no reason whatsoever. So let's go to the review score. So this is obviously a book. Again, we take everything we just did and we quantify it into one of 5 different metrics worth 10 points each. Art and layout is the art and layout in the book visually. How it looks, not necessarily how usable it is, because the next one is usability, and that is how usable the book is. Does it have bookmarks? Does it have hyperlinks? Is it navigable? Are things in the correct order, in our opinions? Both in the book and the PDF. Rule set is the rule set of the game. If it's an adapted rule set, how well is it adapted? If it's a unique rule set, as much as one can be. Do we like it? Originality is just originality in any aspect. And then value is bang for your buck. How much money, not just how much it costs, but what you get on top of that. So I don't know. Is this available in the world now?
No, it's on pre-order right now.
Pre-order. Is that from a website or is it from Space Penguin or what is it? Because I know they did the distro.
It's on BackerKit. It sends me a BackerKit. So
gotcha. Okay. All right. So art and layout. So art is great. Art's super great all the way through.
It's fantastic. Yeah, this is a truly joy to go through. You know.
Yeah. All of Daniel Locke's art is insane. It's insane all the way through. It's super vibey. It gives you a perfect picture of everything that they talk about all the way through the book. So you know exactly how things are and look. Layout wise, I think the layout's fine. I think they did a really good job of adapting the classic Traveler's layout from Clayton. Again, I think I have very few qualms with it. I think the only thing is, again, occasionally where like the wording does get a little bit sacrifice for layout, I think in a couple of spots. But what are your but again, I mean, but the layout it's very utilitarian for the most part. Like it definitely doesn't blow me away. It works. I do like everything they put in the column. What are your thoughts overall?
I mean, I think the layout's good. I think the art is great, and I think that bumps it for me up to an 8.
8 is exactly what I was going to go for. I completely agree. I think if there was a much less art, it would be closer to a 7. But I think the amount and quality specifically of the art definitely bumps it to an 8. Usability. I mean, it's got pretty much fucking everything we want.
It's got everything we want. I mean, it doesn't have bookmarks, but I'm really not bothered by it because of how easy it is to maneuver in the digital version back to the table of contents at any point in time. You know?
Yeah. I'm not bothered by it except that it's not there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, sections are color coded. They put they put it on the side of the book so that you could easily reference those. Basically, like tabs without being tabs. Every version of the book comes with a ribbon except the spiral bound, which you can't really.
Yeah. How would you do that? Yeah. You tie it to one of the spirals.
Yeah. I mean, every single page
always
is
be on one page.
Right. I guess you could like just put it on the inside of the back cover and then, but anyway, every single page is hyperlinked back to the table of contents, which we love, which takes you back to where you want to be, like that. And they do it in such a cool way. Like, oh, just click on the color of the tab and like, it's great.
I'm gonna tell you right now that one detail is doing a lot for me. Because a lot of times there's hyperlink stuff and it takes me to the page and I'm like, okay, I want to go back to the table of contents and I gotta like go back myself.
Scroll all the way up. Like, how dare we take an extra second? But it's 2024. Listen, yeah, I'm with you.
Massively a big thing for me. Yeah,
it's huge. It's huge. I love it. I do really enjoy that a lot. Like, it makes it so easily navigable because you can be like, oh wait, USB stick table, let me check that out real quick, and you're like, okay, I saw that, let me go back to character creation, I want to go to adaptations, boom, I just did all of that. You didn't see that because we're on a different window, but I did all of that super quick and it's great. Yeah, I think as far as usability goes, I don't know, 8, 9 probably.
I think a 9. I think for this one.
I can't really ask for much more.
it's really in a good order as well.
Yes. Yes.
There's nothing about this book that I really would rearrange at all. I think it's in the near perfect order of how I would want things to be laid out.
Yeah. There's very little I could say, like the whole like 3A thing where they don't explain that very well, but that's not really a usability issue. But
if you're listening to this and you're writing a tabletop game, there's never going to be an instance where people are going completely linearly through your book. They're going to loop back, but you want to create a way to read your book in the most linear fashion to be able to understand it. And this book does a good job of that. There's not a lot of like me being like, oh crap, I don't have any idea what we're talking about. And that's on page 500. So let me go to page 500 and then come back so I can understand this. You really know what's going on the entire time.
But the thing too is like, even if you loop through it, like being able to read and understand something on your first impressions are extremely important, right?
Yeah.
So like if I get to a book and it is just scattershot and I read through it the first time and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And actually the book told me I wouldn't. That's the only thing that can make it worse, right? So if you
you're not going to understand this going through the first time. Well,
then write it better. But if you like going from the basics to character creation to the rules is always going to be my favorite way to do things. And I love that all the tables you need are early on, but all of the world building stuff that we jumped through in the end is exactly where it needs to be. In the end, where it's not as important and I can go to it when I want to. So yes, you're right. There's going to be times where you're going to jump all around a book, but having it be in a good order for your first read through to really get a basic understanding before you then choose to go to the parts that you want is extremely important. And I think they did a fantastic job here. So I think 9 is great. Again, like you said, there's not really anything that I would move or change or do differently. And there's not really anything as far as like bonus usability tools. The only thing that I could think of is, man, we'd have to ask Die Sugars to check out to see if the PDF has been optimized for screen readers. Then we're getting super deep. Anyway, rule set. So, I mean, as we said, there's very little, and I don't mean this in like a negative way. There's very little of this that I feel is unique. I think this is mostly, as we said, this is an amalgamation of games, but I mean, so was Mouse Ritter, you know what I mean? It is, but it's an amalgamation of some of our favorite parts of games. It's Into the Odd, it's Vaults of Arn, it's Bastards character creation, it's Durf inventory mixed with some Cairn. I mean, they took all the best parts and put it into a good game. Yeah. So
I think there's little things dropped in here and there that are fairly original thoughts, and I think that counts for a lot. I think you should give this a number score because I'm biased, as this is a amalgamation of
it's a mark of the odd.
It's only things that I love. So
I mean, it's also stuff that I love too. They're just not they're in my top 10 but not my top 5 like you know what I mean?
It's literally my top 5, I think.
I was gonna say I think Into the Odd, Bastards, Vaults of Arn, like what else is in here? Oh, a little bit of Durf.
There's a little bit of Durf in there. Yeah.
All insanely fantastic games, all games we've actually reviewed on the show. So 8.
I think that's I think 8's good.
Yeah. I mean, so you, as we said, like it is an amalgamation of a lot of things and the things that we love and they do a very good job of it. But as far as but there has to be like nothing's a 10. We've already decided the 1 or 2 games that are going to be a 10. So everything is a 9. But to me, even to get to that 9 then, which basically is the new 10, like I think that it kind of does need to have like a much more like originality in the rules. So like this is pretty much as high as you could possibly get for a game that is basically a mix of other games and done in a very, very good way.
Yes.
I think this is the highest this game possibly could have gotten, and I'm very content with that. Originality. So I mean, as far as rules go, again, we have to basically, they're not going to get originality points for putting together the best parts of good games. The whole Weird Hope thing, I think, is really interesting.
I like that. Yeah, there's a very positive spin on the post-apocalyptic world. I do like that. I like the type of character you are, the punks, and how that's really like hammered home all the way through. You know,
punks and freaks. Yep.
Yeah, and freaks. Freaks are just punks with magic.
Yeah, I will say again, this very much an implied setting and things like that. But like they really don't give you a lot about like the wasters, the corpos, and bandits, do they?
No,
like,
I mean there's more kind of plugged into the tables when you roll
the tables.
So but even that's still like a lot of it's implied. It's like a guide. It's like a guide, you know, like it's inspiration. It's a spark.
Yeah. But like, I mean, it's still post-apocalyptic. You're still like the people that decide to like go out in the world. Like, I mean, they even say it's basically Mad Max meets like Miyazaki.
Which is a great combination.
It is a great combination. It's just, is it when you're taking the best of a lot of things and putting it together to make a good thing? At what point is it original, and at what point is it just like a very well adapted amalgamation? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on originality?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. Honestly, I'm probably not as high as the other scores, but I am still thinking maybe like a 6 to 7 range.
Yeah, I was in like a 6 to a 7-ish too, because I mean, even still though, like, first of all, like the skill it takes to put all of those things together to create something new with it is really fantastic. But like, I do like the weird hope thing, I do like the punk thing, I do like the way that like the juice works, I do like all of that. And that is like,
the way Burns work is really interesting as well. Like, I think Burns is a great, like, kind of, you know, you have the rule where like you take injuries and it takes up inventory slots, but this is a lot more narrative, and it gives you a chance to express your character in their solution to that narrative issue. I think so.
Yeah. Well, and then even just in like this game, like I could not reach behind me and grab a book off my shelf and play this game with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like any dungeon game, you could be like, oh, I could play another dungeon game. But like I couldn't play another like Weird Hope, Future Punk. You know what I mean? Like I don't have that. So I think 7 is a solid. I think 7 is solid for that. Value, I don't fucking know. Like, are you looking up for that?
Yeah, I have it open somewhere.
The pre-order prices.
There it is. Yeah. So listen, we're gonna go off of the Kickstarter prices because that's the data that we have. The book and PDF with the two help me out, bookmarks was £35. The PDF alone was 15. The spiral bound rule book is £20. Man, that's honestly like a really okay price for that.
I mean, obviously Kickstarter is gonna be a little cheaper than retail, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even like a $5 or something difference, it's like, okay, that's pretty damn good. Oh, am I looking at the early bird levels, or am I looking at the regular ones? No, I'm not. I'm looking at the regular ones. It's fine, guys. I'm fine. It's fine. Yeah. So those are the basic ones. There's a lot of stuff to add on here, so I'm really not gonna like get into the weeds for that.
Yeah, let's just look at the basic stuff. So like the PDF you said is £15, and then the OG punk level, the £35 is just like the physical copy of the book. $35.
Yeah. So what's up?
$35.
Yeah, well, $45 for the book and PDF.
No, because the physical copy comes with the PDF.
Yes, £35.
Yes, pounds to dollars. For us, it's more. For them, what they price it at, 35-ish. It's reasonable. It's normal. It's
freedom units. So
yeah, right. I think it's well priced. It could be more expensive. I mean, I've paid more for less book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Appropriately priced. So
yeah. I mean, even $15 for the PDF is a very good price for a 165-page PDF.
Yeah,
it could be more expensive. You know what I mean? I think it's great value, but on top of that, it is bang for your buck, not cost. On top of that, you got to look at everything else that you get with it too, because you can get the regular books, you can get the spiral bound version of it, right? But there are out there in the world the 2 pamphlet versions and the 6 adventures written by a plethora of amazing people. So there's a lot of content for the game that exists already, on top of the fact that the game is basically endless based on all the tables. So the value on
the tables for me are the big thing. It's like, that's a lot of playtime right there.
Yeah. But not only that too, you also get this bad boy here. I'm holding up the solo zine, because you got the solo version, you got like the low numbers companion version of the game. I mean, there's a lot of game here. There's a lot of adventure here. I think this is a good value. I think this is a good value there, and it's CCBY.
Yeah, I feel like a solid 7.
Yeah, I'm between a 7 and an 8 almost, because I mean, the fact that you can get 6 adventures and 2 encounters like right now instantly, and again, it's 165 page, and let's just say $35, right? Like, that's a great deal for a book, for a hardback book. Yeah, I'm between a 7 and an 8. I don't know. You can pick.
I think I'm gonna go with a 7.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go 7. You know, if like the PDF was free or some shit like that on, like, then we're going to like 8, 9 territory. You know what I mean? So we're looking at a solid score here. We got 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 7 equals, is that a 39? 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7.
I just don't even do the math anymore because Ryan doesn't.
39. I told you. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's a 39. That is a really fucking solid score. And I will say, the number on here that I appreciate the most is usability, because the fact that they came on our show, played the game with us, know us, are listeners of us, and brought all of the usability tools, all of the hyperlinks, even more than we asked for. Really, I appreciate that very much. Great fucking game. Daniel, David, fucking killed it. I would definitely play this. I would love to have them back on the show so we can play it again. Maybe we'll do a side quest in the future with them.
Love that.
I would highly recommend to go to the backer kit and pre-order this. And if you're listening to this in the future and it is possible to snag it, I highly recommend you do so. Fun game. And great rule set, even if you want to move it into a different setting. That's it. That's us. We will, for those listening, and if I put this out before it happens, what we have coming up on Sunday is the Liminal Horror seminar series, number 2. With Josh Demansky coming on to do more liminal horror stuff. So tune in for that on Sunday. And we're going to be back on Monday for our first side quest in a very long time. Josh Demansky will be on to run Best Left Buried. Hey, don't forget, Hunter, we got a game at 2 on Monday. Best Left Buried from Soul Muppet. Very excited to play that. So some stuff coming up, and we'll not tell you what game we're doing next week, just in case we don't do it. So that's it. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.